We continue. Please, over there. And above all, not those of you who are entering now, but those of you who enter later or leave, please do not do it at the beginning. It looks a bit ugly and impolite for the speaker, okay? So finally, as you can, okay? But, well, let's continue. The last talk before lunch. You'll see that the roll-up that's on the door, there's a little rat that we committed. This is the talk that I think has a cool title, right? Now, Javier is going to be with us. Well, he's going to introduce himself. AP Plus is a sponsor of the event. And, well, Javier is off the charts. So sit down, and I'm sure we'll enjoy it.
All right. Very nice. Thank you very much. Before I introduce myself, I'd like to introduce you to Dimitri and Anastasia, who are the work of an honest Russian craftsman and who are going to be one of the protagonists of this talk. I'm Javier. I work for JetSec, which is a cybersecurity product evaluation lab. I have a part here that I'm going to go through it very quickly so we can get straight to the nougat, which is what we're interested in. But first, I need to give you a little bit of context as to why I have some masks of two gentlemen. Masks of two gentlemen. Well, as I was telling you, we at JetSec are a cybersecurity laboratory accredited by the National Cryptologic Center. And we basically, very quickly, what we do is evaluate that certain products meet a series of cybersecurity requirements, normally with the purpose of being included in a catalog that the CCN manages, which are then the products that are recommended to be used in the national security scheme. Well, it turns out that during the COVID issue, there was, well, you know that it was not possible to access the sites in person. So systems were temporarily enabled that allowed the obtaining of qualified certificates. You know that qualified certificates are those that are equivalent to a handwritten signature. After the COVID, they wanted to put some order into this, which had been done in a very fast way, and asked for the definition of a series of requirements to be met by these systems that allowed the issuance of qualified certificates without the need to go in person, but by carrying out an identification process. So, well, they pulled the laboratories that were dedicated to testing products and got us into this mess. And they got us into this mess of testing identification systems. For this, well, we have a national methodology to evaluate cybersecurity, which is the LINS methodology. And, well, it has, as a major thing, it has limited effort, right? You have 25 days to do your tests, and you have to do it in 8 weeks. In addition to that, they created a technical instruction where they gave us laboratories instructions on how to perform this type of video identification tests. Well, the video identification systems, first of all, I would like to thank Electronic ID, which is one of the products we have tested, right? And it has allowed us to tell you here the tests we have done. But, well, the basic idea is that you show it, your ID card, it recognizes your facial features biometrically, and if everything works, it allows you to open a bank account or get a qualified certificate or whatever. This annex, where CCN proposed the requirements, the first thing they asked us was that there should be some protection against the capture of evidence, which was modeled on two requirements. The first, that it be done in a sequential act, and second, that the recording be guaranteed to be live. This does not mean anything other than that video injection is prevented, right? That is to say that you can't put a pre-recorded video in. Basically, when it comes to implementing these video identification systems, there are two main options. Either you allow it to be done through a web browser, through a PC running on a general purpose PC, or you either get a native application that runs on a mobile device, which you know is a restricted and a priori, well, it's going to provide you with a lot more security. And in any case, well, you have to have a communication with the backend, right? Communication with the backend, right? That is why you are really going to check if what the camera has captured, that has been captured by the camera, either from the browser or from the cell phone, well, it's going to be biometrically machined, right? In the case that the video identification system is running from a general purpose PC, well, it's relatively easy to breach, isn't it? As you can imagine. It's very complicated to avoid video injection. Here you just, well, you know that there is OBS, which is the program that many streamers use to transmit video over the internet. And it allows you to set up a virtual camera. Well, play back on that virtual camera whatever you want. What do many manufacturers do? Well, for example, detect the name of that virtual camera. If the camera that is being used to record the video identification is called OBS virtual camera, obviously they are trying to play a trick on me. What is the problem? Well, it's very easy to crack. If you go to the registry and change the name of that OBS virtual camera to the name of a legitimate camera, well, you are not able to detect it. Of course, also, when running in the browser, manipulating the requests is usually trivial. You can't do pinning, you can't do a number of other things that on a mobile device is more feasible. In the case that you're running on a mobile device, well, we have the two big manufacturers. In the case of Android, well, you know, there is BlueStacks, which is an Android emulator that can run on a general purpose PC. And in the latest versions, it already allows you to pin the OBS camera of the PC where it is running. Okay? For iOS, there is no tool available, and what we did was a small proof of concept to see how complex it was to intercept the camera buffer and make modifications. We did this with Frida. I have a little video here. We did it over Telegram because, well, it's a proof of concept. But the idea is to demonstrate that it is possible to manipulate the camera buffer to put whatever we want. There, what you see is that we're going to start recording. The movement is being recorded until we fill the buffer, which stays there as if it was trapped. And now what we are going to do is to reproduce in loop what we have recorded in that buffer. So what we're demonstrating at the end is that in iOS, it's also possible to manipulate the access to the camera buffer with Frida. It's not easy to do a full proof of concept where we inject a video from somewhere else, because it requires manipulating a lot of structures, but it's something that can be done. In the PC scenario, to defend is impossible, practically impossible. In the mobile scenario, it's very complex, because in the end, you have to articulate in some way to guarantee that the request is originating from a legitimate device. That is, that it's coming from a handset, actually, that hasn't been routed, that hasn't been jailbroken. So in the end, all you can do is add and follow protections using first pinning, of course, then somehow signing the requests, doing jailbreak detection, potentially also using white box cryptography or obfuscation so that I can't get the signed key out and forge a request from a PC, and other technologies that in the end, the idea is that you go adding layers, because if not, this is impossible. That on the one hand. With respect to video injection, which in the end is a prerequisite to do another series of attacks that we are going to see, because the other part of what we have to do is to do a verification that the biometrics is indeed working well. For that, the technical instruction proposed a series of minimum systems to perform this series of attacks. Minimum systems to perform this series of attacks that basically consist of that 75-inch piece of TV and a powerful graphics card. It's basically the Elden Ring setup, but for video injection. And then you'll see that we also do other types of presentation attacks, such as using these masks that we've seen, or makeup. The first thing we were asked to do, of course, is to do a series of functional tests to verify that these biometric matching algorithms work really well. That is, that they don't always say no. Because if they always say it doesn't match, well, if it's going to pass the tests, it is verified with some values given by the NIS of categorization of the different biometric algorithms. And we are also asked that the set of subjects that we use are sufficiently diverse. Then comes the series of presentation attacks that we have to perform. The first one is what is known as the imposter attack, which is basically the reasonable likeness thing. Then, what we try to answer is whether the Morenkos could impersonate the US Surgeon General. The second attack we have to do is video on screen. I put a screen in front of the camera, and we see if the video identification system is able to discern if it has a screen in front of it. I have a demo of this one. It's a little quick, but basically it's what you've seen. There is the attacker showing the ID of the subject we are attacking. And he moves a little bit to the side so that we can see a screen on the TV that we have. He recognizes him as good. If you see that check is that it has passed the test, which it should not have passed. The next type of presentation attack we do is with low-cost masks. We use two types of masks. On the one hand, the ones that are a cardboard with the whole of the eyes. And on the other hand, the ones we call second skin masks, or more friendly socks. It is a sock that you put on your head. Here we also have another demo for you to see. This one is with the cardboard mask. The attacker, with the DNI of the subject he is trying to impersonate, puts on his cardboard mask. And if you see that he covers his mouth, it is because the products implement life detection. They ask you to smile and stop smiling. How do we stop smiling? We cover our mouths. It no longer detects the smile. And even the kitchen. Then we also have the issue of advanced masks. If you have ever been looking at any of this, there is a Japanese gentleman who makes those really cool, super detailed masks. The thing is that they have no expression at all. We were also in contact with a company dedicated to make masks for Hollywood that even had several Goyas, and they are capable of doing things like that. For reasons of practicality and budget limitations, we asked Dmitry and Anastasia to a Russian supplier. And the National Police Corps was kind enough to help us do these tests and issued Dmitry's and Anastasia's IDs. What we ordered on Etsy and what we got. Here it happens a bit with AliExpress. The expectations were higher. That is with Dmitry and Anastasia, I can't even tell you. Here, there are the DNIs of Dmitry and Anastasia, so you can see that I'm not making this up. They exist. And I don't have a demo of this one, so as not to give you nightmares. I care about you. So I tell you a little bit about the next test we were doing, which are makeups. I'm sure you've seen these people who are super experts in makeup, and they do this kind of advanced makeup. Here, the methodology limited us a little bit because of the cost and effort issue. But it is possible to detect more or less. In the time we had to do this kind of tests, we used a technique called contouring, which consists of putting shadows and lights in different parts of the face to modify the expressions. We have the girl below, the girl. The girl below is made up to look like the girl above. And we have her in serious face and smiling face. She is with the ID of the person she is trying to impersonate after being made up. This is a long time ago. We were in COVID. The first time she says no. But on the second attempt, she asks him to smile to show proof of life and to the kitchen. Another of the star attacks. We were also asked in this technical instruction to make deepfakes. Again, the methodology imposes certain limitations. At first, we were using cloud computing. Then we started to be required to do it in real time, so we had to buy the graphics and so on, especially because manufacturers implement protections like randomization in the live test request. So they tell you, hey, it comes to one eye, stick out your tongue, smile, or different things that force you to have to do it in real time. There you have another demo as well. In this case, it's my DNI without the beard and with more hair. This product implements a hologram detection that sometimes is a bit difficult to focus the camera well. But well, there you can see that with the OBS we activate the deep fake in real time. And it has my face. We have a screen behind, because it is also a requirement of this technical instruction that there is a video running behind. And it gives us the check. Congratulations. Some people are already freaking out about this. Another part of the things that we have to test to allow these qualified certificates to be asked for by the video identification products is that they are able to detect also that the identity document is not tampered with. So we have to detect that it's not a photocopy, or that certain verifications, such as the date of validity of the document or that the front and the back match. Here what we did was to print on paper, in this case in color, but with a conventional printer on PVC card that, well, I encourage you to see the face of the local reprographer when you ask him to photocopy a DNI on a plastic card. Again, also putting a screen and a thing that worked quite well, which is to cut out a photo and paste it on the DNI. Somewhat brief conclusions on this topic. Hey, I'm adjusting super well to the time. I'm very proud. Hacking video identification systems is fun. For us at the end, what we do is hacking applications a little more conventional. We've had some good laughs with this mask stuff. All the products we have tested, here I have shown you this one from Electronic ID, which has allowed us to share with you the proofs of concept are improved as a result of the evaluation. That is, you can rest assured. These things we show you here in the production version do not work. That work of this technical instruction thing, where they told us what kind of tests and what kind of presentation attacks we have to do, is potentially going to become a European standard. In that sense, we are a step ahead. The issue of avoiding video injection and therefore deepfake, well, the state of the art makes it very difficult, especially at the level of mobile application protection, because it requires many security measures, and at the level of deepfake, biometric algorithms have difficulties to detect them, but they are working on it. And all this that I have told you, at the end, there is also a human operator who must perform the checks to ensure that this is a clear help, but behind it is assumed that there is a human operator. And, well, as a conclusion, no, we can't expect more from one of these automatic systems than what a human can do. You know that there are cases of impersonation and, well. So nothing. A pleasure to have told you about it. That's about it.
Questions? We have time. Questions? Comments? I'll ask you one later, okay? Can I? Yes, please, sure.
Hello.
Hi, how are you? Well, first of all, congratulations for the talk. I find it very interesting. I wanted to ask you your opinion on, for example, biometrics to other environments. For example, some real example that I have worked with is, hey, well, imagine here in Spain there is a lot of regulation. It is very well controlled. For example, the registration of current accounts, okay? I work for a bank, so what I say, well, I go to another bank in another country that has less control in these biometric analyses. I open a current account, and then with that current account is what they are going to use to verify my identity. I don't know your opinion. Do you worry about security in this sense?
Well, thanks to you for the question. I know that they are trying, as I was saying, to harmonize, right? This technical instruction with this set of tests that have been done, well, they are trying to make it a European standard, right? And I know that there are conversations between the different regulators that, well, are trying to reach an agreement to establish a certain degree of harmonization, right? In general, that the process should be fully automated. Seems to me to be a bit reckless, right? So, well, there is supposed to be a human validator that helps to speed up the process, but in the end, you rely on the fact that there is a person who checks, right? But in the end, well, there are unsolvable cases, right? Univitelline twins, that is, you can't ask for more.
More questions?
Do
Do you have identified now public administration services, private companies that right now have vulnerabilities of this type? Obviously, I am not asking you specific names, but how widespread is this right now?
I don't know. To us, our work, well, the manufacturers come to us to do those tests because they want to get the report that it is correct and it works well. Where is it used? Well, as I told you at the beginning, it is mainly used to issue qualified certificates, which is a very important issue because of its equivalence to the handwritten signature. But it is also used, as the colleague said, in the banking world for my accounts, but I do not have visibility of that.
More doubts? We can stay here until 3:30.
Here's to you, boss.
I am for you who want to eat, so whatever you want. I'm not hungry.
I'm not hungry.
I'm not hungry either.
Hey there.
Good morning. The question is more of the oriente of the solution is the
what is the human factor,
and also is to know,
moreover,
is this an application or a generic API that has been used in this case, or is it more something that is specific to this company?
Or is it more something that is specific to the company? I mean, to the lab.
From the product that arrived.
On the first day.
I mean, from the product that came to the lab the first day to the product you have today,
I mean, at the level of
there is a lot of difference. In other words, at the level of algorithms and service capabilities,
to the point that they pass the tests,
it has improved.
This is sold packaged.
To the point that it passes the tests.
So each manufacturer deploys these services in different environments.
Each manufacturer deploys these services in different environments where they buy it.
That's very good. Cheers.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
More questions?
Good. I have.
Hi, good. I mainly have a question with the artificial intelligence. Counting that it's still kind of in testing and stuff like that. It will come in the future. The face changing and that, and the voice and all that. Well, it's going to be harder to detect even for a simple human. The other one.
Found like that says the factor to know if it's fake or lie or yes.
I trust so.
Yes.
At least there are certain things that make those deepfake algorithms, for example, a little bit skiddy.
And the other question,
for example, if you swipe your hand in front of you and make those kinds of gestures, you can generate artifacts that allow you to detect that the image
what can
is
he
not
do
real.
when he already has that account?
As part of that proof of life process, you could implement those kinds of things that would make it easier to detect that you're looking at a deepfake. What happens here is that it's a question of training. If you put in cycles, it is very complex to detect this. And all of us who work in cybersecurity, in the end, this is cat and mouse. So that's how we are.
When the attacker has already created a fake account, as it were, doing the impersonation and all that, which he can do when he already has that account.
It depends on what it is used for. In this case, the legislation was requested for issuance of qualified certificate, FNMT certificate that you have on your PC, or the one you have. Well, the DNI is a little different, but it is equivalent to the handwritten signature. You could sign a contract, you could sell your house or your soul.
Come on.
It's also been used to open bank accounts. But in the end, the idea is that
I'm on my route.
I can sign.
You know? Thank you very much for the chat. And speaking of cat and mouse,
ultimately that's the process in which it's used. There are implementations of this to open a bank account from home.
But just playing a little bit of what's coming up. Where
fully
do you
operational.
think the killing techniques and the assault
one last quick
techniques
one,
are going
and
to
I'll
go?
see you for another one. Okay, to two.
Ball.
Come on, two quick
You
ones.
know that in the end, the attackers
You're not going to eat, are you?
always have
I'm going to eat for my
resources.
rotas.
Thank you very much for the chat. And speaking of cat and mouse, which way do you think the cat and mouse are going to go? Well, yes, but I mean,
Sometimes the mouse wins, and it's
yes, but I mean, playing already a little bit of what's coming, yes. Where do you think the techniques to kill and the techniques to skip it are going to go?
crystal ball, you know that in the end the attackers always have more resources.
Technology as you rightly say, is
I don't like to be
evolving a
so
lot
pessimistic,
and
but
making it
efforts
easier
have
for
to be made.
attackers to achieve better techniques.
The manufacturers
and
have
that
to make
security
efforts
is
to
not
improve the
evolving
ways
as
to
much in
detect,
this aspect.
especially these
So,
deepfake attacks
don't you
that are
think,
relatively simple to do.
I think we think the same, but you are telling me, don't you think that an ideal way of being able to solve this is to introduce other types
can't
of
get any
security
wetter.
techniques?
One last one, I think that way, right? Or that way, yes.
I think that currently the technology, as you rightly say, is evolving a lot and making it easier for attackers to get better techniques, and security is not evolving as much in this aspect. So, don't you think that an ideal way to solve this is to introduce other types of authentication techniques, such as multi-factor authentication? That is to say, when you have your own ID card, you have the certificate that they give you with your OTP, with the whole issue of the AVE, this added to facial or biometric authentication. Don't you think that would be ideal?
In fact, for example, this product, when deployed in real environments, not in a laboratory, also requires mobile authentication as a second authentication factor. Regarding this cat and mouse race, I don't want to give a false impression either. Is that there is a Deepface Lab GitHub that allows you to do it, but there is no Deepface Lab Detector GitHub. That knowledge is in the industry. Yes, it's balanced.
Okay, the last one I'll sneak in. From past lives when we were doing this stuff in more banking environments mostly, and as far as you can tell me, this kind of testing, just injecting things directly into the web browser, I don't know if because I've seen testing of many of the known ones. For example, we used to do things, I remember, with injections of different types, especially in a banking environment. I don't know if you've tried that as well or if it's been successful.
You mean video injection?
No, browser code injection that would modify the video. Yes.
Here I've told you a little bit more about the biometric part. But of course, at the end of the day, this is a cyber audit. So in the end, if it's a web page, it has its own web vulnerabilities, and they are taken into consideration as well. But you are sick of hearing that.
No, I meant maybe something with WebAssembly or things like that you say at the time
You mean when it comes to...
Yes. At the time of that, you put the DNI and you inject code and you put a blank card. That's what we've done years ago, and you project him in there. Yeah, I'll see you.
With virtual cameras, and yes, you are right. It could also be done in the case of implementing that kind of protections. But the virtual camera works directly.
Well, a round of applause. Goodbye.
Okay.
And at 3:30, please come back, okay? How many questions have there been? I don't know. 50 of a number? You don't remember anymore, do you? 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, whoever did a second one, come over here.